swinging a drive, right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode number 349. Boyd and the Cubs bounce back, and oh, do they, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, and most importantly, review the podcast. Follow us on the socials. You can check me out a little bit at Mully and Haw on X.
And you can follow me at Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. You can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. And Dustin, we got to look in that crystal ball real quick and see what our predictions looked like when the Cubs took on the Angels that week ago. This one, Dustin.
2 out of 3. It's got to be. I won't go for the sweep because I don't want to get burned again. It's got to be 2 out of 3. But I'm very, very, very curious. You got Tyone thrown in this one, right? In this series. You got Cabrera thrown in this series. I'm really curious. Very curious.
Yeah, I was very close on calling a sweep here. I kind of think that JMO's going to surprise some people and have a good outing. I'm hoping that Matthew Boyd is a little bit stronger. And again, I think that they ambushed him that fourth inning. They were looking at him and they were looking first pitch and he was giving them first pitch. So, he should have made some adjustments, I feel. But I still feel that the Cubs do take 2 out of 3. I just think sweeps are really hard. And so I'm hoping that that's what we see this week. We were correct.
You got a little ding there, a little bell. Yeah, we were correct. I mean, it would be a whole different tone, Crawly, had we not been correct in the Cubs losing this series. You cannot lose back-to-back series to the Nationals and to the Guardians if you hope to win 90 games, let alone 95 as I predicted, or 92 maybe was your prediction. So you just can't have that. You got to take care of business. And in this case, for the most part, we'll get to all the games as we go through this. The Cubs did take care of their business.
Yeah, Dustin. And, it was an exciting night at Wrigley on Monday night. I was here, and here's what the skipper had to say.
As he got into it, he had everything working, and he felt, Carson felt really comfortable, kind of any pitch, any count. And, with Eddie's stuff, like if we get into that mode, it's going to be a tough night for hitters. And I think as he got better as the game went on, I thought kind of after the second inning, I thought he was just excellent. I mean, the contact was soft. It was kind of on the ground a lot after that, just routine ground balls type contact. So just an excellent outing.
Yeah, Dustin. I mean, when I take a look at that, I was there on Monday night. And so I was there with my buddy, Danny Rocket. And as we were there, it was just one of those things where there's an electric feel in the ballpark because this is his first start. And so here's a pic I took of Cabrera walking out and he's going to do his bullpen under the left field bleachers. And it is packed even more than usual. And the crowd just erupts when he walks out there, erupts again when he comes back out. This is Cabrera getting back to going to the Cubs dugout. And so he had these awesome shoes with the 84 bear on them. I got to tell you, it was awesome. He did not disappoint. He pitched 6 innings.
Well, it was a Chamber of Commerce. It was a Chamber of Commerce night too, right, Crawly? I mean, come on. That Monday night, the weather was absolutely spectacular. Absolutely spectacular for that was the last day of March, correct?
Yes, and it was like 70 degrees. It was phenomenal. And when you take a look at this, it's just, one of the most interesting moments to me was in the first inning, right? Mike Trout, who was on the hot list for the Angels, he was down 0-2, right? Cabrera gets in front of him 0-2 right away. He works it to 3-2. And then all of a sudden on the 8th pitch, Cabrera completely fooled Trout with the curveball to strike him out. And to me, that was just like, whoa. To make a hitter like Mike Trout, who again will make the Hall of Fame, to make him strike out on that, I mean, make him look foolish. That doesn't happen often. And from there, Cabrera didn't give up a hit until the fourth when Noel Schnuel hit a single, and then Cabrera wiped him out by getting old friend Jorge Soler to hit in a double play. But when you take a look at the stats for the night, that's kind of what really just blows your mind. And here's kind of a picture that they had on the Wrigley Jump on that I thought was good. Dustin, favorite, the quality start. 6 innings, 1 run, 5 shots, 1 like first start, not much that. And right here, if you take a look, this is kind of just some of the pitches that he was throwing. And it's just so interesting because he throws his changeup more than any other pitch. But his changeup is at 93 miles per hour and his four-seamer is at 97.
That's a wild changeup. That's a wild changeup, right? I mean, some guys would like that to be their fastball.
It's just kind of really, really fun to watch. And that's the thing that to me is most mind-blowing. And then how about the offense on Monday night, Dustin? That was something else.
Yeah, nice, spectacular outing. Yeah, blowing out.
The wind's blowing out 20 miles per hour. And so as a pitcher, you want to miss bats. And that's what he was doing. But not only was he missing bats, like Craig said, soft contact, just a lot of little rollers to the second baseman, to the first baseman, unassisted plays by the first baseman, really easy. And on a night like that, you also don't want to give free passes to the hitters. But that's exactly what Ryan Johnson did early and often. I'm sitting there, Dustin. His first 7 pitches were balls, and he had a wild pitch, and he walks the bases loaded. Like, this guy couldn't do anything. Nico hits a sac fly to put the Cubs up 1-0, but there's 2 outs right after that sac fly, and you're like, oh man, like please, like you wanted to get more than 1 run out of there, right? If you would have had just 1 run, I feel like you'd have been disappointed. This is how Pat and Ron call this. Carson Kelly is up to bat, bases loaded, 2 outs.
Angels in their traveling unis, swinging a pop fly, shallow right. Peraza out. Might be a tough play, and it falls in there for a base hit. Cubs are going to score 2 runs on the play. Cubs got a break. There is a windy play at Wrigley Field. Peraza, actually that was, Peraza, the second baseman, going out and calling. At the last second, he realized he could not make the play. Trout racing in from center, tried to make a frantic catch, and he couldn't grab it. As the 2 men almost collided, Cubs get a major break and lead 3-0.
That was heard on 104.3. Crystal clear quality on the score.
Crystal clear, Crawly. Don't make a mistake. Crystal clear quality.
But you're sitting here and you're watching it and you know it. On those type of plays, you're watching it. And Peraza is calling, he's calling, I got it. And the wind keeps pushing it further and further away from him. And at the last minute, all of a sudden, Trout has to come in. I think there's almost going to be a collision. It looked like it was a scary play because he could have hurt his wrist really bad. And so the Cubs would score 3 more runs in that inning. Ian Happ would hit his 3rd home run in as many games, Dustin.
Nice start. Nice start.
It would have been 4 if that wind didn't blow it out, blow it in on opening day. That would have been on Kenmore, that one on opening day, Dustin. And so what I liked about it right here is if you take a look, this is Ian Happ, 3 home runners in the first 4 games of the season. He joined Seiya Suzuki in 2022, Rizzo in 2020, Derek Lee in 26, and Sammy in 2002. You got 2 Cubs Hall of Famers, and my guess is the second Rizzo is eligible. He'll be wearing one of those blue jackets as well. Just an absolutely fun day. And what I liked about it, Dustin, and we talked about on opening day, how the second half of the lineup didn't do anything. If you look here, everybody contributed, right? Other than Michael Busch, but everybody had a hit except for Michael Busch in the lineup. And so I thought it was just a fun game, and I was glad I was able to go out there and fly the W with my guy, Danny Rocket. We had a good time calling the game and had fun doing the live cast. So
now you were doing a live cast. Did you happen to see Spiegel and Holmes' opening pitch?
I did. And boy, for all the talk that Matt Spiegel was doing, let's just put it this way. He's a much better singer than a pitcher.
All right. And I heard he threw from in front of the mound. And then I heard that Lawrence went right up to the rubber, huh?
He went right up to the rubber. It was a little down and away or down towards the right-handed batter's box, but didn't bounce it. But Spiegel's was brutal. But it was fun seeing those guys and hearing Matt do the.
He made up for it, I guess, during the 7th inning stretch. Did a pretty nice job from what I saw.
Yeah, absolutely, and that'll take us to game 2, Dustin.
Game number 2. So this is the Jamison Tyone game. We were wondering, both of us. He did not have a great spring training. That is not breaking news or anything. So he's out there, and the weather not quite as nice as it was on Monday night for you.
No, and here's Tyone's evaluation of his start after the game.
Felt good. It's a weird thing, like spring training. Obviously pretty atrocious. Can't really get any worse, but I think in the back of my mind, I kind of always was just telling myself, like, let's get out of Arizona. Let's get to Chicago, get to Wrigley, just get where it matters. And we're game planning a little more and stuff. So glad to see that I wasn't crazy for thinking that the whole time. But yeah, I mean, it felt good to just get back out there and start the year on a decent note. I know I can be a lot better, but this was like a good start.
I think that's a fair evaluation. I mean, that spring was awful. 26 runs, 10 homers, 26 hits in 13 innings in spring training. And Dustin, it was a pitcher's day, right? 38 degrees. So when I was there, it was like 73. The next day it's 38. Winds blowing in from 7 at 14 miles per hour. He was only able to go 4 2/3 innings. He threw 85 pitches, 2 hits, but 4 walks, Dustin. And look, everything wasn't his fault. Some of the defense was a little bit shaky. Leadoff walk led to a runner in scoring position in the first. In the second, with one out, he gave up a single and a walk, able to get out of that. He sat him down in order in the 3rd and 4th and looked like he was kind of getting a little bit better. But then a couple of bad defensive plays in the game for the Cubs put Tyone in big trouble. With one out, he walks Logan O'Hoppe, and then all of a sudden PCA tries to make a sliding play on a small ground on a shallow fly ball, and it gets past him, and that put runners at 2nd and 3rd with one out. Mm-hmm. Now Tyone's going to get a big strikeout, and he's going to intentionally walk Trout. And so the night was over for Tyone. That was a big strikeout, that last one that he got, because then you're able to walk Tyone, and Hobie Milner came in and got Nolan Schnuel to ground out to end the inning. With Pete Crows Armstrong, you're going to have some great plays, but occasionally you're going to have one where you're like, oh man, you try to do too much on that. You know what I mean? He tried. And if you're going to do that, you have to keep the ball in front of you. And he kind of reached it from the side. And so once it got past him, now it's rolling.
Yeah. You got to keep it in front of you. Yep. No doubt.
That was the big one. And then, but they were able to get out of it without a run scoring. The second defensive miscue came in the 6th inning. Phil Matten would come into the game, issue a leadoff walk. Dustin, how many times have we said that? Leadoff walk, can't do it. And you especially can't do it when the wind's blowing in. You can't give them free bases. The next batter, Jaime Candelario, hits one to right field. Matt Shaw took a bad route, may have lost the ball in the lights. It counts as a double. Runners at 2nd, 3rd, no out. Matten gets the next 2 outs, and it looks like the Cubs are going to wiggle out of it once again. But Logan O'Happe drilled one to 3rd base at 105 off the bat. It went off the glove of Alex Bregman. Both runs would score. The Cubs were down 2-0, but it could have been a lot worse because, Dustin, we always talk about runners in scoring position. The Angels were 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. So there's a lot of traffic in this game. Like I said, not, walks, bad defensive plays for the Cubs. It could have been way worse, but it's only 2-0. The one positive as far as the game is concerned, I thought Ben Brown continues to look good. Pitched 3 1/3, gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, and struck out 5. So, he's had a couple outings. I thought he's looked really good. Craig Counsell was asked about his offense after the game. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, we had four singles, 4 walks, 1 error, but 2 base runners in 1 inning maybe. Soriano's, that's pretty good. I mean, it's it's obviously electric fastball, and the split finger, kind of hard split finger, keeps the left-handers, honest. So, he's pitched. He's had 2 really good starts and pitched well. So, challenging for sure, but regardless, you got to put more pressure on a pitcher in any situation, and We just didn't apply any pressure tonight.
Yeah, Jose Soriano is having a great start. He shut out the Astros 6 innings in his first start, gave up 2 hits. He did the same thing to the Cubs on Tuesday nights. The Cubs had 4 hits, all single. They hit into 2 double plays, had 2 men on base in only 1 inning, and had runners in scoring position twice and went 0 for 4. And as Counsell said, yes, he's a good starter. I'm not going to deny that. And it wasn't a good night for hitting, but you have to put pressure and you have to find ways to get on base. You're not going to hit a home run in those type of conditions very often. So you have to get on that's Wrigley, right? It's a park that plays different ways. And it can be blowing out and warm one night and the next night freezing cold and blowing in. And you got to figure out a way to make it difficult on that pitcher. And the Cubs made it easy for Soriano. It didn't even look like he broke a sweat.
No, yeah, too easy of an outing. Not their greatest offensive performance. That's for damn sure.
Now, game 3, this is with the series on the line. Matthew Boyd struggled in his first outing of the year, gave up 6 runs in 3 2/3 innings against the Angels. The big question was, would he be able to bounce back and get the Cubs the series win? Well, it was in his favor because once again, it was a good day to be a pitcher. Game temp was 39 degrees and the wind blowing in, Dustin, at 20 miles per hour from left field. That game tied.
Yeah, I said a real feel of like 21, right? 21 degrees?
Yes. Real feel of 21. It was the 5th coldest game in Angels history and the coldest since April 15, 2013. But Matthew Boyd was dominant. He gave up a leadoff single to Zach Neto, picked him off of first, and then didn't allow another hit until the 6th inning when Neto singled with 1 out. Neto also walked in the 4th, so Boyd had some trouble there with that, but with nobody else because, after that hit in the 6th, he walked Trout. His day was done. He went 5 2/3, gave up 2 hits, both to Neto, 2 walks, 1 of those to Neto, 1 to Trout, 10 Ks, and 1 earned run that came across after he exited the game. So, Dustin, the question that we're talking about here, what was the real big difference between starts? And Marquis had this up the other day, between the opening day versus the Nationals for the Angels, able to go 2 more innings, gave up 4 less hits. He gave up 5 less earned runs, 10 strikeouts compared to 7. And the average exit velo was way down against the Angels. They weren't hitting the ball hard. But when you think about the 2 starts, Dustin, that Matthew Boyd had, it was just 1 bad inning is what it boils down to. That 4th inning that he just got ambushed on. Chris Kompka put this one up, our guy, at 20 swings.
I love this tweet.
Yeah. 20 swings and misses on opening day, 20 swings and misses on the start on Wednesday. No Cub had 20 swings and misses in a game all last season. So his stuff is looking good. It was just kind of a funky thing. And not only that, Dustin, the other big topic of conversation regarding Matthew Boyd, you mentioned the real field being like 29. The dude
21.
doesn't
21.
wear
21.
21. He doesn't wear sleeves when he pitches.
Absolutely love that.
Matt out there in short sleeves pitching to that guy.
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing here? I know he's from the Northwest and he's pitching some cold, but he seemed to work for him.
He's got the Oregon State Northwest, probably some cold games in his career there, but he was great today. I felt like they were constantly off time with his combo of 4 seams and changeups.
I don't remember how cold it was in 2017. We opened the season on the south side, and I had the second game, and it was the weather was, I think it was below 30, and I wore sleeves. That's the only time I've worn sleeves, I think, in the big leagues. I just thought it's a weird thing. I never really wore them much in high school when I was pitching. I just preference, no more than that, right? And
hey, you know what, man? More power to him. I'm kind of weird like that. I don't like having sleeves. I like tank tops a lot. Like when I'm doing kind of sports and stuff like that. It just is. It's one of those things. But I'm not doing it in 29 degree or 22 degree, whatever it is. Real feel. That was insane, Dustin. I don't know how he does that.
Guns out for Crawly. Sun's
Yeah,
out,
sun's out, guns
for
out for
Crawly.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen you in the out on the lake with the old muscle shirts on, Crawly.
Oh,
Good for
I
you.
don't
for
like
you.
sleeves at all, man. I don't like
I'm
sleeves at
with
all.
you. I like to wear a vest most of the time. I don't like being constrained in a jacket with sleeves. But I'll tell you, if you had been at that game, Crawly, it made the game that I went to on Saturday with my daughter feel like the 4th of July. It was a really cold game that day. So the good news was, though, hey, the Cubs got the win. Matthew Boyd looked good. The other thing from the Matthew Boyd game, Crawly, I had heard is that Matthew Boyd is 9-1 after a Cubs loss. Not that he gets but the team is 9-1 in his starts after a loss. So that is a pretty great number.
He is a stopper. I heard you say that this morning on Mully and Haw, and that was a great stat. And the other, Dustin, I know it's early, right? And I know we don't have Seiya Suzuki. We'll talk more about that in segment 3. But after the Cubs scored didn't score the day before, Craig Counsell decided to shake up the lineup. This is what it looked like in game 3. Horner, Bregman, Happ, Kelly, Bush, Swanson, Shaw, Crow, Armstrong, Amaya. What were your thoughts on that for game 3 on this lineup right here?
Well, I thought obviously there's something with the pitcher, right? But I felt that Craig Counsell did not want to have a day off today and be sitting there with a loss. So you took PCA, went from 4th to 8th, and you've got your catcher, Amaya, in the DH slot. I don't know that that's always the most brilliant idea to have your DH as your backup catcher or your co-starting catcher, but he did not want to lose that game. And I applaud him for the lineup that he took out there. You can say, oh, it's just 1 of 162. That game meant something to Craig Counsell and that Cubs offense.
Well, Dustin, we talked about this before. I'm not a big proponent of Michael Bush in the leadoff spot. I know because you remember Joe Madden used to do that. He used to put Rizzo in the leadoff spot when if you did a jump start. I have no problem doing it every here and there. But right to me, the guys he want at the top of the order are the guys to get on base. And I mean, I think this is baseball 101, right? And you have Horner who almost hit 300 last year. I think he finished 298. Yep. And then you got Bregman who has an OBP through the roof. You see pitches, Horner has speed. People forget because of PCA. Horner was the leading base stealer before PCA came up. So you got those guys there. And once you get Suzuki back and you could put him there, I would, you could put Happ behind him or Bush or however you want to look at. I liked this lineup. I thought it was exciting. And again, that doesn't mean they didn't win the game because of that lineup. I don't know. I saw him score 4 on opening day in a cold weather game. I saw him score 7 with the other lineup on Monday night. I mean, I just feel that it is the lineup that gives you the best chance for success. And
I agree.
That's what the lineup did. And they exploded for 5 innings in the 3rd inning off Yusei Kikuchi. It started though, Dustin, with a big mistake by Angels manager Kurt Suzuki. And this was kind of an interesting one here because Miguel Amaya is going to walk. And as we talked about, now it comes up to Nico Horner. And what'll then happen is just kind of this bizarre play where Nico hits one all the way. It's rolling to the wall. And he sits there, and I think Quentin Berry was nervous about because they were shut out the night before. He's waving Amaya home. The throw beats Amaya to the plate, but home plate umpire Dave Rackley calls him safe, says he slid under the tag. Now I'm looking at this thing. I'm saying he's out. And so I'm waiting for Suzuki to challenge. I'm waiting. He's turning around, looking at this thing like he's watching some documentary. He's taking forever to call it. He finally does the signal, but the crew chief says you took too long. You only have 30 seconds to challenge it. So Suzuki cannot challenge it. And I thought it was a huge break because Amaya looked out to me. How do you look to you? I mean,
yeah, it was close. It was very close. I think, a lot of the times, Crawly, it's kind of like in football where what's called on the field, it almost has to be like egregious sometimes. And I think it's we're going to see that even more with this new, system with the balls and strikes. That they don't want the umpires to be made look foolish. That's not the point, right? They have the technology. So if it's close, I believe if it's close, they're going to go with what the umpire called. It's my opinion. It's early. It's something to keep track of. Obviously, we're not going to keep track of every team out there, but for our team, for the Cubs, the team that we care about the most, I think this is something that we could definitely be looking at.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't understand. When they hired David Ross, I'm like, yeah, he's a great catcher and a great team guy, but he doesn't have experience managing. And Kurt Suzuki is the same thing, former catcher, right? Yeah. Playing with a bunch of his old teammates, which is where he retired from.
Right. You know what the same part of that is, though, and I hate to say it.
What's that?
It's catcher. They like the catching idea. It's also cheap. They're paying for the inexperience. And the Angels right now are just super cheap, right? I'm not saying I'm just saying the Cubs went from who was the manager?
Joe Madden.
Right. So they went from Joe Madden, who was one of the top paid guys, to David Ross, who was probably on the low end of the spectrum. He was still getting paid, because he's managing in Chicago, wasn't making what the Marlins skipper was making. But you understand where I'm going with this, right?
100%. I'm just telling you that I just don't think that's a recipe for success in the big leagues.
Oh, I agree with you, but I'm just saying that's what I think. Yeah. That's what I think they're kind of doing right at that point.
Yeah, Suzuki should have challenged it, and then that I feel like changed the whole outcome of the inning, because now you have Nico at second, Bregman singles to make it 2-0. The Cubs would load the bases, score another run on a Dansby sac fly. With 2 outs, Matt Shaw hit a clutch RBI single, and PCA hit one that was just out of reach of first baseman Jaime Candelario. And so when you take a look at this rally, 5 runs on 2 walks, 5 hits, 1 error, 5 hard hit balls, meaning 94 or more of exit velo, 10 batters to the plate, 43 pitches seen. They made Kikuchi wear this one. He stayed into the game way longer than I thought he would. Matt Shaw got an insurance run in the bottom of the 7th with an RBI single. Shaw would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. Nico 3 for 5 out of the leadoff spot, and Michael Busch was 2 for 3 with a walk. So, I feel like, again, that lineup. But Dustin, one of the most talked about hits in this game didn't lead to any runs. Bottom of the 8th, there's 2 outs. Ian Happ hits a pop-up to first base. He puts his head down and is hustling down the line. The Wrigley wind gets a hold of it, and the ball falls behind first baseman Jaime Candelario. Ian Happ is standing on second base with a double on a ball that he hit 195 feet from home plate. Here is what Nico Horner had to say about his teammate Ian Happ.
And I think we're all aware of the factors that Wrigley has, and there's opportunities out there within that, and we definitely want to be a team that respects the game, plays the game hard, and when your longest tenured player is doing that, it says a lot.
How many times have we seen it where we're like, hustle it out? You don't know what's going to happen on any given day, but at Wrigley, with the wind, with the sun, with everything, anything can happen. And here's Ian Happ, as Nico was saying, the longest tenured guy on that team, and he's busting his ass. And don't think that everybody on the team didn't recognize what he did in his effort, and understand that that's expected out of all of them. And that's the respect 90 that Joe Madden used to talk about. Respect 90 and good things will happen.
Yep, that's a good point. Respect 90 and good things will happen. Well said, Crawly. This is the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. It's episode 349. Boyd and the Cubs, Crawly, they bounce back. Don't forget, listen, download, review, subscribe, please, to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star review. We'll take it. Email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us on the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. In this segment, Crawly's talking to Mike Voorhees of the Guardcast podcast to help preview Cubs Guardians series coming up out in Cleveland. We're going to talk about the pitching matchups, offseason moves, and which players are hot and which players are not. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode 349. Boyd and the Cubs bounce back. Please listen, please download, please review, and please subscribe. 5-star review, we'll take one of those as well. You can email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us on the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. It's time for some odds and ends, looking at some news from the Cubs, of course, and of course around Major League Baseball.
Yeah, we got an injury report. Craig Counsell gave us an update on Seiya Suzuki's recovery from a knee injury that he suffered during the WBC.
I think we're looking at they start playing on Friday. So he'll work out with them tomorrow, and then start playing Friday. And then, so we're looking at probably 3 to 7 days, and somewhere in that range, and just kind of like seeing how he feels when he's playing, and going from there. No, he's going to go to Knoxville. He's going to go to Double-A. Yeah.
All righty. So 3 to 7 days right now. So just so you know, Dustin, Knoxville is playing at home. So they get all the clubhouse amenities that they have in Tennessee. Iowa is going to be on the road.
Yeah. So that makes sense, right? That makes sense. Yep.
Tennessee's going to be home for the next week. Warmer conditions there, so he doesn't have to worry about anything as far as the weather, as opposed to playing in the kind of the colder weather that you play in Iowa. So, it could be they're talking 3 to 7 days. They're going to see how he's feeling. The earliest, he might come back for the Rays series, or they might want to take advantage of that off day on Thursday of next week, a week from today, and then call him back up for the Pirates series. But Dustin, there's no question of how much better this lineup is with Seiya Suzuki in it, and how much they miss having him in the lineup. That threat, the offensive power that he provides, extra base hits. We were talking about this lineup here. And, when you take a look at that Horner, Bregman, and then you put Seiya Suzuki batting third, and then Bush fourth, Happ fifth, then you go down Kelly, Swanson, it changes everything. It lengthens the lineup.
Well, I was just going to say, that's what they like to call lengthening the lineup, right?
Yeah. And, I've seen Michael Conforto, and I've seen him in a couple games, and I would like to see Dylan Carlson get a shot at right field. We haven't seen that yet.
Well, I'm sure we're going to see it sooner than later, right?
I would hope so. And because, you remember last year and when Kyle Tucker was hurt and not playing very well, you're wondering like, well, okay, well, why don't you put Owen Casey in there? Let's see what we got in this kid, right? Let's see what you have. I don't know what Dylan Carlson is or isn't. I don't, but I'd like to see him get a shot and see if he can sometimes you catch that lightning in a bottle. And you remember the Cubs did that. I remember it was it 2023 when Mike Talkman just went on a tear after Cody Bellinger got injured. Just give it a shot.
Yep.
Give it a shot. See what you got. Michael Conforto just hasn't impressed me much. He didn't look good last year.
No,
I'm thinking about what I saw in spring training, and I know those games are just practice, but if you're not competing for a job, then what's the point of being out there? Right. I felt that Dylan Carlson looked better out in the outfield than Conforto did, and looked better at the plate. That's just my opinion.
Listen, you and I are lockstep in that line of thinking. There's no doubt about that.
Dustin, we got some exciting move today from Francis Romero. He tweeted this out a little bit earlier, and it's just something to kind of keep an eye on if you're a Cub fan and always looking there. But international free agent pitcher, he's a Cuban right-handed pitcher, Nakia Piedra. He's 23 years old, has signed with the Cubs, and he is going to be heading to their Dominican league soon. And so he throws, Dustin, 96 miles per hour. And he's only 23 years old. You wonder if he gets under the watchful eye of some of the Cubs and their pitch labs and all that kind of stuff, some advanced major league, training methods and stuff like that. If he can add 2 or 3 miles per hour to the his fastball, might be a little bit interesting, So
yeah, that seems like a good pickup.
Yeah, you want, there's different ways to fill your minor league system. One of the ways is the draft, trades. And international free agents is a big one. And so I feel like the Cubs have that Dominican complex, and sometimes people forget about that, but you just get all these really good players and you see what comes out of it. Dustin, I know you're going to be excited because you are nostalgic like I am nostalgic. How about this one? This week in baseball being revived. What do you think of that? This is this Friday, April 3rd, tomorrow after we're recording this. It is going to be put out by MLB's X account at 11 p.m. Central Time. It's a short form this week in baseball. MLB Studios and MLB Network collaborate on series highlighting today's brightest players, spectacular moments, of fun storylines with elements that made this week in baseball a favorite part of baseball lore. You and I are close to the same age, and this week in baseball,
I love that show. Yeah, love that show. That was so much fun.
that used to be, much watched, must see TV if you were a baseball fan. And this is before now we're aging ourselves here, Dustin, but this is before, the ESPN, the top 10 plays on Sports Center, and then do that.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, this week in baseball is where you went to see what players
if you
were on
wanted
there.
if you wanted to see it, that was your only place to do it, no doubt about it.
Right. A lot of us didn't even have cable in the early to mid 80s, and so this week in baseball, I feel like baseball realizes that it needs to use every outlet, and it's not just TV, because, you and I probably still have our cable boxes and all that stuff, old school. I don't know if you've cut the cord yet, but
I have not. Can't do it in this line of work. I don't feel.
Yeah. And I have it as well, but I know a lot of people that have cut the cord and don't have it. Maybe they get it through other, streaming services or however you get it. But I truly believe that you want to try to reach, especially young people, because you and I, Dustin, they're going to put us out to pasture soon, but you want to have a next generation of baseball fans coming out. And I feel like this is a really good opportunity to do that.
Yep. I agree. Did you mention, did I miss any word on like talent wise, who's hosting the show or anything like that?
I have not heard yet, but hopefully, we'll find out, because it's going to be tomorrow. So I'm going to be, I have the day off. I'm going to be tuning in.
All right. Very good.
I
love it. I love it. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is the new podcast, right? The Lovable Reunion, as we celebrate the 10-year anniversary. I can't believe it's in 10 years of the 2016 Cubs.
Yeah. Hey, look, you don't have to just listen to our podcast, but please do and give it those 5-star reviews. But there's other podcasts out there, most of them not as good as ours, but this one, Dustin, the Lovable Reunion, is really an interesting thing. The show's going to feature Rizzo and Ross hosting, and they're going to be doing former teammates, and Joe Madden is the episode that dropped today, but it dives into behind the scenes stories, reflecting on the historic run. I listened to the podcast the other day. I want to say on Tuesday night. Now I'm listening to it. It's about an hour and 20, hour and 30, and I'm driving home, and I'm a little tired from the night before out at the game. I've got to wake up early in the morning. Dustin, I was bawling on the way home. Like I was crying. I'm not gonna
cry. Wow.
I think when you listen to it, it brings us back. And 10 years, Gotcha. It just seems like it's flown by, and other times it seems like it's been forever ago. But to hear the stories and the way that they tell them, it'll have you laughing, it'll have you crying. If you're like a Cubs nut like me, and I've read every book on the World Series stories, some of the stories sound, they come back, but it's their perspective on the stories. They're telling their own stories. And just kind of, like I said, when they're talking about some of the plays and what was going through their heads, and the way they talked up Joe Madden and how important he was to the team, John Lester, how John Lester and John Lackey used to fight over who would pick up the bill. They would take all the guys out for dinner and drinks, and Lester and Lackey would sit there fighting over the bill, and the importance of team building and everything that made that team what it was. And Rizzo talks a lot about how they loved each other. And, Rizzo was telling the story about how he, one time, Rizzo would play 161 games, a lot like Dansby Swanson, and he asked the manager, he asked Joe, he went in and said, Skip, I need a day, and Joe Madden completely understood, but, he sits there, and, I want to say it was 2015. It was maybe Madden's first year. And, the guys, obviously someone's going to come in and take his place to play a bench player. Rizzo wasn't out there in the first inning, and Madden, I guess, really tore into him. Like, no, those guys are grinding for you. They're watching every at bat for you. They may not even get into a game in an entire week like Dylan Carlson, but they're out there cheering and believing in you. You best believe that you're out there cheering for those guys when they're up the bat, every at bat. So it's kind of interesting stories, interesting perspectives, and they got funny stories and all this stuff. But like I said, they're talking about the NLDS, the NLCS, the World Series, Game 7, the parade, and it just took me back. It really took me back, and I You get scared, Dustin. I got to a point where I was 40 years old and I had seen some old timers who didn't live to see the World Series. I thought they would, they didn't, and you get to a certain age when they won. I was 40 years old. My dad, was 70 years old. Neither of us had seen a World Series. We got to go to the games together. My dad and I went to Game 5 together. My brother and I went to Game 3 together. And even then, it just was like, man, am I going to witness this? I'm going to see it. And it was, they talked about a lot about the emotion and how they, when they started to hear the stories from fans about people who listened to Pat and Ron on the radio at a gravesite, from a Cub fan that passed away, or people that put, W flags on graves and all that stuff. It really, I don't know, man, it hit me hard. So I am really, like I said, it really was a great moment. I have a wall in my man cave right now. And every time I do this podcast, when I look to the left, it's just this wall of just all World Series memorabilia that I have, and just how much it truly means to me. I got the scorecards, the bats, photos, the scorecard, Pat's final call, the pictures of all the players from just crazy moments. And when I think about, obviously, you're married, your kids, those are the most important moments of your life. But when I think about just the moments of that 2016 year, it really, it means the world to me. And it was such an amazing moment. And in being in that parade, I was like in the front row, and you're talking about the largest gathering in Western civilization. You know what I mean? In the U.S. history, and to be there and just remember those moments, it's really cool. So I would encourage all our listeners to it's going to be a weekly podcast, I believe, the Lovable Reunion. The first episode's out, and it is really kind of the story of Rizzo and Ross, how they kind of get to know each other. One of Rizzo's in Tampa, they asked if Ross could leave some tickets for Rizzo at the time, and he's going through cancer, and they took a picture, and how all of a sudden they had the same agent, they became friends and then teammates. And it's funny because Ross is a real red ass and would kind of get on guys when they need it, give them the swift kick in the butt, some professionalism. But Rizzo is kind of more like the funny, silly guy, and just kind of their relationship. And it really, they're like brothers, literally like the older brother and the little brother. And right. The dynamic really comes out in the podcast. And when they just talk about like some of the fights that they would get in and how they would chew each other out. And there was one story I have to tell that just literally made me laugh, where Rizzo came to a game and he was kind of feeling a little bit hungover, and the bases are loaded, and he hits into a double play, and Ross kind of comes up to him. He's getting ready to chew him out. And he yells at Rizzo. He's like, "You need to lock in. You need to come ready to play every day." And it got Rizzo all mad and flustered. Next at bat, he sits there, and Rizzo hits a 2-run homer, and he's looking at the dugout, and he's screaming, "I'm always ready to play." So that it's just kind of a lot of those kind of funny stories. So really encourage people to check out the Lovable Reunion podcast.
Yeah, we'll be playing sound from it as well. It's early, Crawly, but it's a tradition here on the Fly the W podcast. Time to look at the standings after we've got 2 series under our belts, if you will.
No panic just yet. The Milwaukee Brewers, though, are 5-1. The St. Louis Cardinals at 4-2, and then 3 teams are coming up with 3-3 records: the Pirates, the Reds, and the Cubs. So I know you see the Cubs on the bottom there, but it's. Don't worry about it. They're all in the same boat there. But Dustin,
who made that graphic, Crawly?
MLB.
Okay. Well, I blame them. I mean, why are the Cubs at the bottom?
I don't know. It's not alphabetical. It should be alphabetical.
Right. If it was alphabetical, that'd be one thing, but it's not alphabetical. So how in the wide world of sports do the Cubs end up on the bottom of that thing?
I have no idea.
Is it reverse alphabetical? It's reverse alphabetical. Well, don't worry. Like I said, it's a tradition here. It's only two series in, so plenty of time to get that corrected.
I will tell you one thing though, Dustin. There are some big new, Pirates fans. We had Noah Weil on the show to give us a preview on there. They are excited. They just called up the top prospect in baseball, Connor Griffin, and when I had Noah on, they thought that he was going to start the season with the team, like the way it was very similar. It's not the same service time silliness that the Cubs had with Chris Bryant, but there's nobody that watched the Pirates in spring training and didn't think Connor Griffin was one of the top 10 players on this roster as a, much less top 26. And they were stunned, Pirates fans, that Connor Griffin did not get called up to break camp with the team. So if you are someone that's just a fan of baseball, I wondered if they delayed it so that he could have his first game be at PNC, Dustin. I mean, why would you call him up after 1 week?
Yeah, I'm interested. I thought it was weird too, like that they didn't try to match up Skeens through yesterday. Today's a day off. Pirates home opener tomorrow, right? And Skeen's not the home opener starter. I thought that was a little odd, but whatever. Maybe it's ceremonial. But let's go ahead.
If you do love baseball, I would recommend getting tickets for next weekend's Cubs Pirates series. And on Saturday, we're talking about 2016, the Ben Zobrist bobblehead, the first bobblehead giveaway, but you'd see the number one prospect in baseball, Connor Griffin. I don't know what he's going to do. I hope he does nothing against the Cubs, but just me as a baseball fan, I'm very curious to see what this kid's got.
No doubt about it. Let's now get into a little bit of the predictions, Crawly. We've got a 3-game series starting on Friday, odd time, right? About 2:10 Chicago time. I thought it was Friday. You had it down as 4:10. Thought it was 2:10.
Is it 2:10? Okay, my bad.
I thought it was 3:10. I thought it was 3:10 Eastern and 2:10 Central. We can double check that, but we just.
I think I went the wrong direction. I think you're right. I think I added instead of subtract.
You went the wrong way. Okay, don't go the wrong way. I think you got the other 2 times right, but I don't mean to correct you, but it's very important. Everybody, when you get on the road and you get the opening day factor in, it doesn't always line up like you think it should. So I just think it's important that we make sure we try to be as accurate as possible. A lot of moving parts here, but I believe it's a 2-10er for the Cubs and the old Guardians. And in this one, Cade Horton is going to be throwing, and he looked awfully good. He threw the game that I went to last Saturday, and he was good, efficient, worked very crisp. How about his opponent in this one, Crawly? A lefty, so might see a little adjustment in the Cubs lineup.
Well, Dustin, when we make our predictions, keep in mind, I do want our listeners to know Game 2 is a Fox Saturday Night Baseball at 6:15. You and I were talking about it before we went on air. What a dumb time to have a game in the Midwest.
Dumb time. I'm glad. I didn't realize that I didn't look at the calendar close enough. I wanted to go out there. I've never been to Cleveland, meaning I've never been to a Guardians game. I wanted to go, the scene of the crime, if you will, in a good way, where the Cubs were able to win the World Series. I've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I was thinking like a little spring break wrap up. Both my kids are in town, but then I found out, it's Easter and we're hosting. So this would not have worked out. And on top of that, it really wouldn't have worked out because originally when I looked at this, it was a Saturday afternoon game originally. And now it's been moved to a night game to accommodate the national TV audience. And it's the Final Four. And now the Illini are playing in it. So, good luck, Fox. I think most of Chicago, will be watching the Illini, maybe listening to Pat, Ron, and Zach in their pocket with the Odyssey app.
I will tell you one thing, Dustin. I'm looking at these 3 games, and these predictions are going to be hard. I'll tell you why. Cade Horton is a very good young pitcher. Joey Cantillo, his opponent, is a very good young pitcher. Then the Game 2, I don't know. We don't know with Shota Imanaga if that just Joey Beamer just got to him and that was it. Because if it wasn't for Joey Beamer, he looked pretty good. But the home runs with guys on base is a problem. He's going up against Slade Cassoni, and he's not a very good pitcher. He's had his struggles. And then Game 3, I saw Edward Cabrera on Monday, who was dominant. We talked about he's taking on left-handed pitcher Parker Messick. And so he's a very, very good young, talented pitcher. The Pirates have a lot of talented young pitchers and more coming in the pipeline. I think this is going to be the Guardians have a lot in their pipeline. This is going to be a very tough series to predict.
No, when I first looked at it, Crawly, I'll be honest, I thought sweep. I mean, this is, arguably two of the best Cubs pitchers going in this one. And if I'm a believer in what the pitching coach Tommy Hotovy said, he thinks that Shota's stuff is better than it was in his first year. I'm thinking sweep, Crawly. I'm thinking sweep.
Ooh, Dustin, they just beat
the Guardians have, I know they have no offense in general. Okay. In general, the Guardians have no offense to speak of. So we'll see, but I know it's not quite prediction time. We got to do some hot and some not. But
go ahead. No, go ahead. It's prediction time. Let's go ahead with your prediction.
I'm going for a sweep. I say sweep. I say sweep. Get out of Wrigley. Get on the road. Weather's not going to be great, obviously, there either. But yeah, I believe that the Cubs are going to sweep. Crawly, get out the broom.
Well, you are braver than me. I'm going to reluctantly say they're going to take 2 of 3. I feel confident about game 1.
Listen to you, reluctantly.
They went 4-3 against 2 teams that were in the postseason last year and one that won the World Series against a West Coast trip against Seattle and Dodgers. You come home 4-3 and you beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 at their home park. You did something right. This is not the Angels. This is not the Nationals. This is a step up in class, and you're playing at home. It's the Guardians have home field advantage. So if they lose this series, I wouldn't be shocked like I was against the Nationals. It wouldn't be shocking. I hope the Cubs win. I'm predicting them 2 out of 3, Cade Horton and one of the other 2. I'm just not sure about it, but I got the Cubs taking 2 out of 3 as well.
Now you better have had 2 out of 3. I'd have been really disappointed, Crawly, if you didn't have 2 out of 3. You don't have to be as ballsy or onionsy as me, but that's okay. That's a wrap, Crawly. Don't forget, listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Email us thoughts, questions, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Watch us, subscribe to us. That's the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Crawly, happy Easter. Enjoy. And we will get back together after this reunion, if you will, out in Cleveland.
Has anything good happened to the Cubs in Cleveland before? Who knows? Go Cubs!
It's all over.